Hello everybody, this tutorial is on how to calculate the variance and standard deviation of a sample population. To do that we need a data set, and as you can see we have the body mass index for 18 people. So there are 18 observations in our data set. Here is the formula for variance. S squared, which is variance, is equal to the sum of the squares of the deviation from the mean divided by n minus 1. Sigma is the sum. X subscript I is each of these individual observations. Bar X is the mean of the sample population or the average, while n is the number of observations. So the first thing we need to do is to calculate the mean of our sample population. To do that, highlight all the observations and click on AutoSum to find the sum of our sample population, and that gives you 468. The next thing we need to do is to find n minus 1. N is 18, n minus 1 will be 17. You can type that in or do the calculation if you wish. And then the next thing we need to do is to calculate the mean of our sample population. And to do that, we can use the average function in Excel. So you click on this box where you want the outcome of your calculation to appear, and you type in equal to average, open a bracket, and highlight all the observations in the sample population. You close the bracket and press enter. That gives you the mean or the average of our sample population. Next up, we need to calculate the deviation of each of these observations from the mean. So you subtract the mean from each of them. So for the first one, click on this box where you want the outcome of your calculation to appear. Type in equal to the number you want to find the deviation from the mean, and minus 26, which is the mean. Press enter. That gives you the deviation of this observation from the mean, minus 8. You can repeat this operation for each of the individual observations, but to save you time, come to the first one you did, go to the lower right corner and wait for the cursor to change to dark plus sign, like that. Click down and pull down to the last observation, then release the mouse. That gives you the deviation from the mean for all the observations. Now that you have all of them, you can sum them up by highlighting them and going back to AutoSum to find the sum of the deviation from the mean. That is 0. The last thing we need to do before we can find variance is to calculate the squares of each of these deviation from the mean. And to do that, we can use the power function in Excel. So to do the first one, come to this box where you want the outcome of your calculation to appear. Click on it and type equal to power. Open a bracket. Click on the number that you want to find the square of, and the comma, and the number 2, which means you want to raise it to power 2, which is a square. Close the bracket and press enter. That gives you 64. Minus 8 multiplied by minus 8 is equal to 64. Again, you can repeat this operation for each of the deviation from the mean, but to save you time, go back to the first one you did, click on it, come to the lower right corner, click on it and pull down to the last observation. And that will give you the squares of each of the deviation from the mean. Now that you have all of them, you can sum them all up by highlighting all of them and click on auto sum. And that gives you the sum of the squares of the deviation from the mean, which is 438. Now we have everything we need to calculate variance. Remember, variance is equal to the sum of the squares of the deviation from the mean, which is this number, divided by n minus 1, which is this number. So to find your variance, click on this box where you want the outcome of your calculation to appear and type in equal to the sum of the squares of the deviation from the mean divided by n minus 1, and then press enter. That will give you the variance. Now, everything we've just done that took several minutes, we could have achieved it in less than 30 seconds because there is a variance function in Excel. But I wanted to do this. I wanted you to see it, to see the long way of doing it so that you can understand how to work this formula. So to use the variance function in Excel, click on this box where you want the outcome of your calculation to appear. Type equal to VAR, which is variance. Open a bracket and highlight all your observations. Close the bracket and press enter. You see, it gives you the exact same figure, 25.76. Now, to calculate standard deviation. Standard deviation is actually S, which means variance is the square of standard deviation. So we can actually calculate our standard deviation from this variance. In order to do that, we have to reverse this. That is, we have to find the square root of variance. And we can use the square root function in Excel to do that. To do that, click on this box where you want the outcome of your calculation to appear. Type in equal to SQRT, which is the square root function, and open a bracket. Click on the number you want to find the square root of. Close the bracket and press enter. That gives you the standard deviation of our sample population. Again, there is a standard deviation function in Excel. So to verify that your calculation is correct, you can use a standard deviation function in Excel by clicking on this box where you want the outcome of your calculation to appear. Type in equal to STDEV, which is a standard deviation. Open a bracket and then highlight all your observations. Close the bracket and press enter. See, it gives you the exact same figure, 5.0758. So there you have it, to calculate variance and standard deviation of a sample population in Excel. You should note that the formula for the entire population or whole population is slightly different. But we're not talking about that today. This applies only to a sample of a population. If you have any questions, ask me in class.